First off, I'd like to thank the sponsors that we have, the Lincoln County Regional Planning Commission, who has worked with us to get a grant to help work on the vision process. We've got the Boothbay Chamber of Commerce, Boothbay Region, new Chamber of Commerce, very generous in helping us. Our friends of Midcoast Maine, and the support of the town of Boothbay Harbor. I'd also like to recognize that we've got a great diverse selection here, everything from business owners and residents, and we've got selectmen here from Boothbay, and town managers and Boothbay Harbor folks, and Edgecombe. So I think this represents a great diversity from our region. This is the beginning of what we hope to be an interesting and involved process where we're going to be working at developing ideas and concepts that can be used to eventually come up with something to label the entire region. Because when people come down the peninsula, they're not thinking individual areas. They're thinking more of, we're here at the region, we're experiencing everything. So with that in mind, let me go ahead and introduce Jane Fleur. She's the Executive Director of the Friends of Midcoast Maine. Jane's been very helpful in working with this initiative. She's also helped us with the walkability workshop that we had about a year ago. And this is sort of an outgrowth of things that we're doing with the walkability workshop.
Great, thanks, Mike. I'm going to wander around and I'll try to talk as loud as I can. I'm Jane LaFleur, as Mike said. I run Friends of Midcoast Maine, which is a regional nonprofit organization. We work with towns from Brunswick to Bucksport on community planning, community engagement. We've been doing a lot of values-based planning work and visioning work and branding. And we'll be talking more about what branding is in a few minutes, but I want to run through a few slides to just tell you where we're going tonight. Could you lower at least one of those lights, please, and we'll see how this works. Hold on. So the agenda for tonight you have in front of you, we'll have a brief discussion with some slides about the work that you're going to be doing tonight. This tonight is all about you and this peninsula. It's not about me. It's about what you want this peninsula to be, what you love about it, what you love most and care about, and that you want to keep. So you'll be doing some small group work, and there'll be a facilitator from the steering committee at each of your tables to help keep the conversation going. We'll be asking you a series of questions around your table, and you'll have time to work with your group. And then we'll have a short, large group discussion to talk about what the entire region values, not just you individually. We'll have some time for feedback, and we'll tell you about what's next, and we promise we'll get you out of here by 8 o'clock so that you can get back to the game. So the goal of this project is to figure out what the identity or the face of the Boothbay Peninsula is. That we want to be able to establish clear and consistent signage or you are here maps, perhaps. We want to strengthen the identity of the region. We want to attract families, year-round residents, and jobs. And most importantly, strengthen the economy of the region. And we'll show you how branding ties into all of those things. So we're going to start talking about this place that you all live and work and play in. And we're talking about character and places and traditions and culture and your neighbors and your values, your heritage, places you love, things that you care about, places you take your friends and neighbors, or you spend time with your friends and neighbors, or you take your visitors to see. What is it about the Boothbay Peninsula that means the most to you? Because we'll be able to turn those items over to a design team who will work on developing a logo, a brand, a tagline, whatever form that might be for the peninsula. And I'll give you some examples of those in a little while. But we'll be talking about what you value. And often it's places, sometimes it's a feeling, sometimes it's an atmosphere, sometimes it's what your community means to you. We've done some of this work in some other communities for other reasons, not necessarily branding. In Damariscotta, we came down to 6 things that they care most about as a community. And these are widely held values, and I'm just showing you this as an example. In Damariscotta, they said, we value working locally. We value living locally. We value having an involved community. We value having culture and nature in close proximity. We like an accessible town. We feel we can get around town, whether it's on foot or on bike. And we value our sense of community. Those are just examples of values that came out of similar sessions in Damariscotta. And we'll be getting to those values for the Boothbay region after your discussions. We've also done this work in Rockland, and these are some of the things that they value. Access to the harbor, a strong and diverse economic and cultural center, the historic character and diverse neighborhoods, hometown qualities of life, comprehensive goods and services, public service and volunteerism, beauty and natural resources, diversity, walkability, and bicycling. Some of these things may resonate with you, but they may not. We want to find out what are the things that this region values. So in order to get to that place, we need you to get to work. And what we're asking you to do is have small group discussions for about 30 minutes around your table. And in a minute, we'll ask you to clear the food and plates off your table so you have room. But I'll tell you how this goes. At each table, there should be a steering committee member or someone willing to be a facilitator. Do we have a steering committee member at each table? Question? If there's more than one at a table, I don't think there's a steering committee member at this table, so maybe, or you are, I'm sorry, yes. Okay, so we want to make sure there's a steering committee member at each table. And in the middle of the table is a piece of flip chart paper. That is for you to write on. And also in the middle of the table is a plastic bag with pencils, sticky notes, and markers. Everybody should take a pencil and a tiny stack of sticky notes. You can split the packs up. As you hear people speak, you should write down some of the things you hear.
Just like some clarification, are we the ones writing on the sticky notes? Everybody's writing.
Everybody is writing on sticky notes. Everybody has a pad of sticky notes. Everybody has a pencil. If you're short of supplies, let me know. Let's get with it. And write down what you hear, okay? But everybody's going to be, like Tom's going to start telling a story. He's going to say what brought him to Boothbay Region. And he's going to say, well, I came here when I was a kid, or I grew up here, and and you're going to, somebody might write the words grew up here, someone else might write the words came here as a kid. So you might hear different things. You're not checking each other. There's no right and wrong.
And do you have a amount of time that you want for each question?
Well, it's 30 minutes for all three, so it's 10 minutes per question to get all the way around the table.
We were supposed to buy a house in North Carolina, and we came here on vacation, and I said, we'll use this as a small-scale test. This is safe. And we went home in contract for the house.
And why did you stay here?
Because we were in contract in a house. We couldn't afford to go anywhere else.
All right, what brought you here? I don't know your background, Steve, so what brought you here?
Opportunity, again, as a right out of school, right out of college. I felt like, again, people and being able to come here and find a job. I have been here a while. I hate to say it, but yeah, I've been here a while.
When did you come to town?
74.
I came in
69, see?
Stephanie?
Well, I came here because I grew up here. My mother's side is from here. The next question. Why am I still here? Work. Job. And actually, it's good for, you don't appreciate the small town until you don't have it. Because we did move to Florida for a few winters. Not a small town.
I came here almost 20 years ago because I was stationed here with the Coast Guard. So they sent me out of Cape May, New Jersey. They actually sent me to a tugboat in Portland. I got to the boat in Portland. The chief there told me that we didn't need you, we don't need you. We already filled your position 6 months ago. He gave me the choice of washing dishes in the galley in Portland or to go up to the small boat station in Boothbay Harbor. And so I said, I think I'll go up to the small boat station in Boothbay Harbor. And that's how I ended up in Boothbay Harbor.
Well, look at that.
enthusiasm for the local steamship. Where else do you see big billboard signs, plywood signs, handwritten, those seawalls?
My kids can go to the school, walk to the Y, go down the walking trail, participate in, I mean, my daughter is doing ballet, tumbling. Those things aren't available in my previous town.
We have a small local community newspaper that you can't really find in a lot of communities anymore. Plus we have community television being filmed right now. That's right. A plug for community television.
And what a resource for those individuals that don't get out, that can actually participate by viewing what is on television, which is then followed up through the register and through Facebook posts. It's not a backwater. There's actually electronic activity.
I love how the news is on the
No real bicycling.
In terms of
Oh, that's right. We need bicycle pads, big time.
Sorry to interrupt. I'm gonna ask everybody to stop for a few minutes now. I'm gonna go around the room and just ask somebody from each table to answer some of these questions as I ask them. And if you don't mind, you can pass if you don't want to. But just stand up and say it. So the first question is, what brought you to the Boothbay region and why do you stay here? Would somebody at this table just answer something either you heard or for yourself?
I came here because of the sailing and shore access.
Okay, great, thanks. How about somebody at this table? What brought you here and why do you stay? Anybody want to take a stab at that?
Job at Ocean Point Inn, it's still beautiful up here.
Okay, job at Ocean Point Inn, and it's still an advertising dollar. Okay, how about at this table? What brought you here, somebody, and why do you stay? Anybody?
We're leaderless. We're leaderless at this table.
Leaderless, community table, that's
So I
okay.
spoke first.
Go ahead.
Most of us talked about the ocean.
The ocean, okay.
That was critical.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of discussion about pace, being able to manage the pace.
And it's
It's
a little bit more about pace. What-
I think the discussion was around the fact that you could have a lot of people left major urban centers and came here so that they could have more control of their life and have less life controlling them.
Does that resonate with other tables? Do you hear that at other tables as well? Okay. How about at this table? What brought you here and what keeps you here? Anybody?
Well, a couple of us grew up here, so
You
we had
grew
no
up here.
choice.
You had no choice. Okay, so by chance or choice? Yep.
Well, it's interesting that somebody that grew up left and keeps coming back.
Come back.
And now she's going to stay.
Yeah, yeah. And what brings you back?
It's been different things over the years, but most recently is the community.
It's a community, okay. So there's something special here. How about at this table? Anything, what brought you here and what keeps you here?
Many of our peoples were either born or raised here or moved here at an early age, and what keeps them here is it feels like home.
Feels like home. Okay, and does that resonate with a lot of folks? Okay. So how would you describe this region to someone who's never been here before? What about this table? What kind of words do you use to describe this place?
It's a fabulous place. It's a fabulous harbor.
Could you stand up so everybody can hear you?
It's a fabulous place, a beautiful harbor. You've got to see it to believe it. Uniquely Maine, there's nothing fake here.
Nothing fake here. How about this table? What words would you use to describe this place to someone who's never been here before?
We said that the region is beautiful, it's very natural, still rural, picturesque, small town, compact. The water is very important. The ability to walk around downtown is great.
Okay.
And
Great, good. And those ideas resonate with other tables too? Good. Okay, and quickly, what, if lost or changed, would forever change the Boothbay region character? How about this table? What, if lost or changed, would forever change the character?
We started off with the easy one, which was the quality of the environment, the water, the ability to have this diversity of fishing fleets and sailboats and recreation and restaurants and shops. It was that diversity, and to lose that would definitely change.
Okay, good. How about, who's somebody I haven't called on yet? Is there any people? The back boys and girls. Go ahead, there's always one, you know.
Problem children.
Go ahead. What?
It'd be the access to the coast. If for some reason
Access
you
to
couldn't
the
get
coast.
down to the water and see all the natural beauty and
Yep.
seagulls fighting
Pretty
over French
important.
fries.
Okay, yeah. Fighting seagulls, fighting
Precious.
over French fries is precious. You know, you may think that this is similar to all coastal communities, but it's not. There are some features that are similar, but there's something very, very special about this place. And that's what we're going to try to hone in on as we take all these answers and develop value statements. Because what I will be doing from everything you've written, I get to type up all of that, is developing common values, just like you saw with the earlier communities, Rockland and Damascus and other towns I've worked with. What are the things that you care most about here? And that is information that a design team can take and turn into a logo or a tagline, something that helps bring this region together. So this is just information that feeds that process, but it's what you care about most, because that's the kind of thing we want to target. I want to talk a little bit, well, first of all, let me go back. We need to have a discussion. Those were your thoughts about what you care most about, what brought you here, how you describe the region, and what would change this region in your point of view. Now I want to just spend a few minutes, probably not 30 minutes, but what do you think the whole community values? And I'm just going to ask you to call out words, and I'm going to try to keep track of them. And I'll give you an example. Some towns I go to, folks say, I love to snowmobile. I value that. I would do anything I can to snowmobile every weekend. That's the thing I value most about living in Maine. But not everybody values snowmobiling. What they might all value is access to the outside, access to nature, access to open spaces. So it's a more higher value, more general value. So that's what I want to hear. What do you think are the things that the whole community really values? And we were starting to get to some of those because I asked you, do the rest of you feel that way, or have you heard that? So let's just call out some words. What do you think the whole community values, not just you? And by community, I mean all the communities on the peninsula. Go ahead, somebody call out something. What do we all value as a region?
Water access.
Water access, okay. What else?
The working waterfront.
Working waterfront, okay.
Local merchants.
Okay.
Personal safety, you can leave your cars and houses unlocked.
Okay. Local merchants. Okay, what else?
Downtown.
Downtown. Get another mark here so I'll see this. What about downtown? Just that it's there, or is there something special about downtown that everybody values?
Quality.
Walkable.
Shops, walkable.
Walkable.
Building.
What was it about the
Old building.
all the buildings? Old buildings.
The
Okay.
architecture.
And somebody said something about the shops. What is it about the shops?
Unique, they're not chains.
High quality and unique. Okay.
At my table, I heard something that sounded a lot like not slick.
Not slick.
Yeah.
What does that mean, do you think? What do you think that means? What does not slick mean?
Genuine.
Genuine.
Old.
Or not
Authentic.
Quaint.
polished or
Quaint. Authentic.
Peaceful.
Peaceful. What was that in the back?
The natural beauty of
Natural beauty.
And access to it.
There's a great art community.
Art community.
Yes. Footbridge.
And somebody said something about clean something?
Clean water and air.
Clean water and air. Okay.
Neighborly.
Footbridge.
Neighbor. Neighborly, what does that mean?
Caring, friendly.
Caring, how do you show, how do you know there's a caring community? What is it about it that makes it?
They make eye contact and smile.
Eye contact. That doesn't happen everywhere.
No, it
You're right, it doesn't happen everywhere.
Bank tellers and the post office clerks know your name.
They help each other, and the post office clerks know your name.
Footbridge.
What about the footbridge?
Beautiful. Unique.
Unique footbridge.
I think it connects the whole town.
Free access. Iconic. No toll. No toll. No toll. Okay, good.
We teach our kids that social networking happens at Hannaford.
Social networking. Have you seen that commercial where they're in a grocery store and the kid is on their cell phone and the mom is like pulling them along? So, social networking at Hannaford.
M&M.
What is M&M?
M&S.
M&S, what is that?
We have Mary Bordeaux and we have Sarah Folger. We have a wonderful church community and one of the best wives probably in the country.
Okay, good. What else? Yes,
The
sir.
fact that people wave to you for absolutely no reason.
Wave to you for no reason, okay? And that's a good thing. That is, okay. What else? Yes, ma'am.
I also think that we have what people look for, the end of the rainbow. We have a 15-mile driveway. People don't just ride through. We're a destination, and when people make that trip down that 15-mile driveway, they're amazed and they're awed of what they find.
And-
Pot of gold at the end.
And also, along the way is quite a find too. I mean, as I drive down here, whoa, around every corner, it's a beauty. Yes, ma'am.
We have a lot of live arts and culture.
Live arts and culture.
And music, entertainment, the acting.
Live arts and culture. Okay, spoken.
dog friendly.
Dog friendly, important. What else?
Whale Park.
What was that?
Whale Park.
Whale Park, okay.
Great food.
Great food,
Restaurants.
okay, as you can see from tonight. What was the first part?
The lovely gazebo.
Gazebo.
Mom and Barrett's Park.
So we have parks.
Yeah.
Nice
Parks.
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 Non-gated.
Land trust.
Botanical garden.
Lighthouses.
Sunsets, lighthouses. Okay.
Fishing.
Railway Museum.
Santa Claus comes in on a boat.
Santa on a boat. I'm gonna ask another question. What about further up the peninsula? Because a lot of this stuff that you're talking about is down here. What are the things that the region values further up the peninsula?
Rural views.
What? Rural beauty?
Rural views.
Views. Okay, what else?
Southport Beach.
Southport Beach.
Farther up and around are antiques.
Antique places. Okay.
Oyster beds.
Oyster
Burnt
banks.
Island Lighthouse.
Beds. What was that other one?
Burnt Island Lighthouse.
Burnt Island Lighthouse. Flip the page. Oh, that was
Well,
good.
yes, they do actually.
Burnt Island Lighthouse.
Our shipyards.
Golf course. Shipyards.
Oh, we have Fort Edgecombe.
This right over there, it's going up already.
That's
Shipyard. No strip malls. Okay, we're getting into the.
only one.
Okay.
Golf
Anything
course.
else? What's that?
Golf course.
Golf course. Okay.
Railway Museum.
Summer weekly farmers market?
Summer weekly. Is it once a week?
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of history in the region.
Yep.
Involved in that.
history. What kind of history? Maritime? Or all kinds? Okay. What else? Maine State Aquarium.
Bigelow Lab.
The Opera House.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Okay. Quite a list. That's good. Anything else? Anything you has not been said or burning to say? What was that?
Boat building.
Boat building.
How about the Zach Preserve?
What was that, Bob?
Zach?
How do you spell that? Z-A-K, Zach Preserves,
Ocean Point?
Ocean Point. Okay. I think we might have got that.
That's up there.
Yeah.
Bigelow Labs.
Bigelow Labs. Okay, I'm going to change the question slightly. What do you think people value that aren't places, but are more character or feelings?
Community.
So a strong heritage and craftsmanship.
Community, heritage, and craftsmanship, I heard. Craftsmanship. Anything else?
Caring. I heard caring earlier.
Caring. We did say that before, caring, and was that architecture?
Yeah, the historical
Okay.
architecture.
Safety?
Safety.
Maritime history.
Yeah. But what about,
Neighbors.
neighbors, okay.
Our kids. Ask the question again.
What are some characters of this area that aren't places, that are feelings or characteristics, not places, not places?
How about the church community? The people in the churches do a great job.
What do they do a great job at?
Well, what do they do?
Yeah.
They have a lot of community activity within it. You know,
Okay.
the food bank is one of them.
So that's, I'm trying to get to, is that
Volunteerism,
volunteerism,
yeah.
caring?
Community
I'm trying to, community service, okay.
There's a lot of community service agencies and affiliations and organizations.
Okay, remember, okay, Christian charities, okay, charity.
Volunteerism.
Volunteerism, okay. Okay.
Friendship?
Friendship.
Essential Maine.
Okay. Anything else?
Philanthropic.
Philanthropic, and Bob, what was that?
Everyone seems to know it.
Know everybody. That's good and bad, isn't it?
Jane, there's a certain awe. There's an awe or a splendor, whether it's a foggy morning out in the harbor or an incredible, spectacular sunset.
Okay.
There's
The
just
visual variety.
Visual variety, okay.
tidal swing.
A strong sense of natural awareness.
Tidal swing, and what was a strong sense of what?
Nature.
Sense of nature. Okay, I'm going to ask another question. What do you think the young people under age 15 value about this place?
The YMCA. The
Why?
YMCA.
Y Arts.
Ice cream storage.
Less than age. So the YMCA,
There's a
Ice
movie
cream.
theater in town.
movies,
I always thought that.
Fisherman's
Community
Festival.
spirit with the schools.
Cell phone coverage.
I think they appreciate,
That would definitely be.
I think they appreciate the support they get from the entire community.
Community support.
Community of mothers and fathers and.
Yeah, mothers and fathers.
Student aid fund.
Yeah, water sports.
What was the something fund? Somebody said
The
that?
student aid fund.
Student
Help
aid
them go to
fund.
college.
Freedom to roam.
Yeah, under 15.
Okay.
Freedom to roam
Freedom
around.
to roam, okay.
Walkability.
Okay. Okay, another,
The school.
schools, okay. Another question, and then we're gonna move on. What do people over age 70 value about this place? If it's different than what we already said.
Peace and quiet.
Peace and quiet.
Yeah, the hospital we used to have.
Something else, we'll move off of that, yes ma'am.
There's great community support for the elderly as well.
Community support, okay. Okay. Anything else?
Walking opportunities.
Walking opportunities, okay.
There is accessibility.
Accessibility, okay. Paul? Great,
Makes me feel young.
good.
Home and family.
Home and family, okay.
Volunteer opportunities.
Is there, okay, I'm gonna ask another question. Is there anything one thing that you have on the Booth Bay Peninsula that you haven't found anywhere else?
Footbridge.
Footbridge.
It is no longer the longest footbridge in the world, and it was for over 100 years.
Ah,
The Grand March.
the Grand.
The botanical garden.
The botanical garden. Anything else? Something you have, it could be a place, a person, or a feeling. What is something that you have here on the Booth Bay Peninsula, the whole peninsula, or somewhere on the peninsula, that isn't available anywhere else? It could be a person, place, or a feeling.
Catholic Church Hill.
What's that?
Catholic Church Hill.
Catholic Church Hill.
That
Okay.
stone wall in front has seen a lot of problems solved.
Okay. What else? Something, a person, a place, or a feeling? Yes, sir. And then ma'am.
A close bond with the community.
Close bond with the community. Okay. Ma'am, you were next.
Simplicity of life.
There are more water used from public roads than any other place
More water views.
for public roads.
More water views on the peninsula from public roads than any other place. Spoken like a true planner. Okay. Okay. Anything else you want to add?
It's very Norman Rockwell.
Norman
Genuine.
Rockwell. Okay.
Burger King can't survive here.
Yes. BK. No Burger King. Okay.
But I still go back to quality time, because of all of the negatives that aren't here, we have a lot more quality time.
Quality time with family and friends and that.
Yeah, however you choose to spend it.
Okay. Great. Yes.
I had a visitor, a business person who was in here, and they made a comment to me that I thought was quite telling. Going off from the Burger King piece, they said there are no fast food drive-through places, so you make me stop and take the time to go to a restaurant or go have dinner or do something. So it made her stop her life and slow down and experience a meal or something like that.
Slow down. Okay. And is that something you think most people here value?
Absolutely.
Yes. Almost everybody.
Maybe not the under 15-year-olds.
Maybe not the under 15-year-olds. Yeah. Okay. Good. Okay.
Things like what we had just last week at Gary's when he closed.
Yeah.
And threw a party for the whole town to come and eat. I think that doesn't happen every year.
Yep, party for the whole town. And I want to just,
Anybody who misses that.
I just want
Party for his customers, but the whole town shows up.
Yeah, oh, just for his customers, but the whole town. Well, and I have to say that just having the folks from Mixed Eagles cater this is pretty remarkable. I work in a lot of towns, and I was telling this table that they often bring water and apples, and it's still, but that's. No, they'll be here if there's food involved.
You really should.
Okay.
You really should make a point.
I will try, thank you. Yes, ma'am.
One of the things I noticed is the multi-generational, how close the generations are with each other.
Yep. Multi-generation and
Parents are actively involved in children's with their friends and vice versa. You go over to someone's house for dinner and the kids are there and they want to be with their
Yeah.
parents and their grandparents instead of separate.
Okay, that's important.
That's
Okay.
why a lot of older people move back to Florida,
Yeah.
because it's so segregated there, so it's old people who want to move back.
So they come back here after being
They
with
wanna
a
see
single
multi-generational
generational
community.
group community. Okay, that's important to know. Yes, ma'am.
The real community events like Fisherman's Festival, and the Early Bird, those are. and-
Harbor
and the-
Lights.
And the Festival of Lights.
And those are
And
unique.
the festival of trees.
Those
Oh,
are
God.
those are real community.
Yeah, community events. And it takes the whole community to pull them off. Yeah. Good. Yes, sir.
In conjunction with the multi-generational, I also think that young people, at least the young people I've experienced fly, are respectful of older people.
Respectful, yeah.
And, you know, there's not a huge, I mean, you know, when you're 15, you got a lot going on. But
Right.
still, they
Yeah.
seem respectful of.
That's great. That's great. Good.
The
Okay,
lo-
yes.
The businesses are incredibly supportive of the nonprofits. They are
Businesses-
constantly asked for donations and they constantly give. I don't know how they make any money. They're always asked to give us.
Yeah, that's important and special. Yep. Okay, yes, ma'am.
Another one, we don't have a trash problem. There's no litter all over.
Yeah.
It's very
Clean.
clean.
Yep.
There was one.
It sure is.
Or Burger King.
Well, we go to dump and bring it home and sell it to the tourists.
Okay, so I want to, this has been great. Is there anything somebody has to say that hasn't been said yet? Now's your chance. Okay, so let me run through a couple more slides. All of this information that you've been so good to share is a fodder for developing a brand of some sort. And you all know the Made in Maine brand, the qualities, the time, get this out of your way, the Toms of Maine, all of these things are brands. And something similar may resonate with you folks and come out of this process. There are all kinds of Maine examples. Waterville has a brand, Converge and Create. I'm sure you've heard it's happening here in Lewiston. There's pictures and logos and icons, Perfect in Maine, the Jewel, where it all comes together. All of these things were created using a similar process. Even the state of Maine talks about exploring Maine by region, and we're, of course, as you know, the mid-coast region. So this came from Pica Design, and Bob Dietz is here from Pica Design, but it's a statement of truth, something that people can connect and identify with. It's a message that's meaningful and important to ourselves and possibly to others. And that's what we're trying to get to. You've all seen the I Love New York brand, started a few decades ago, actually. Have not seen it? It's a little card. Ever heard of it? Okay, I'm going to show you. So I'll read this to you. There's something really special about being a New Yorker, whether you're from the city or across the state. It's the reason we stand up a little straighter when we say, I am from New York, and we're tenacious and passionate. It's that little something you hear in our voice and see in our gait. It's loyalty that defies logic and energy that defies reason. All of this is part of our DNA. We don't sign up for it, it just happens. You see, I Love New York, it isn't just an advertising slogan, a logo, or a song. It lives, it breathes, it speaks to you because it's me, it's you, it's the kid next door, it's where you get away to find yourself. It's a city, it's the whole state. It's that amazing truth that no matter where you come from, when you come here, you're a New Yorker. So it's a similar passion that we're going to try to find for this region. This is, you said you haven't seen this before, or you,
Oh, yeah.
you have. It's I Love New York. So you take the meaningful message that they took, somebody got paid a lot of money to do this, and turned it into this. And it is used everywhere. It's very simple, it's very clear. They have rules about how high these letters can be, you can't stretch the heart out, and all these things. But they use it for adventure and cultural something, for art, for scenic drives, for sports, for restaurants, for wineries, for upstate New York or New York City. So it applies to that whole area, and maybe something similar, don't know yet, would work here. As you see, this is the logo, the brand, the icon, the picture, but it applies to this whole thing of another thing happening. And they use it over and over again, no matter what it is. Whether you're talking about the mountains and the ski areas, or things in the city, or history, or natural beauty, you can use this little tiny icon over and over again. So communities in Boothbay Peninsula could use it, the towns could use it, the businesses could use it, organizations could use it, whatever it is that comes out of this whole process. We're going to try to find that perfect thing. Or you could decide you don't want to use it, it doesn't work for you. It's optional, nothing is forced. So the next steps are, there is a steering committee. And if you're on the steering committee, raise your hand. I'll have your names at the end of this. So there's a bunch of you that are on the steering committee. We need more people on the steering committee to help out. We need more ideas and smart brains and energetic people to keep this process going. So if you're interested, please see Mike Tomko. Mike, raise your hand so everybody knows who you are. Please see Mike so he gets your name and information so we can keep you in the loop. And there'll be a November meeting of the steering committee. Out of this information, I'll be developing value statements, draft value statements, and we'll send out a survey, an online survey, and ask people, how does this sound to you? Is it what you value? Is it what the community values? Are there other words that aren't in these value statements that should be used? And that helps feed the process to the designer. So that will happen the next couple of weeks. The steering committee will meet. They'll review the information, including the report from this meeting. They'll hire a designer or a firm to assist with the brand statement and the logo for the region. Okay, they got a grant. The steering committee got a grant from the Lincoln County Regional Planning Commission that came to Boothbay Harbor, and that's to pay for this designer. It's not a lot of money. It's a little tiny bit of money. But hopefully maybe there'll be some additional support for that. They will test the ideas with a focus group and community members. Does this make sense? Does it look like something that will be of value to reach all those goals that we talked about in the beginning? And then they'll report to the communities and to the organizations. And then finally, they'll offer this logo and taglines to the communities and organizations for wayfinding. Maybe it'll be a signage system that starts at the top of the peninsula and carries all the way down. And maybe there's a You Are Here map. Maybe it becomes just part of the advertising for this region. Maybe businesses use it. But it may tie in with wayfinding, with branding, and other efforts. And we're going to try to finish this process before April, because the grant wants you to finish this before April 2014. So it's a lot of work for the steering committee and community members. For most of you, we have your email addresses, and we want you to stay involved and take the survey and send the link to people. If you don't have email, we'll get you a paper copy. I know there's two or three people that don't have email, but we can do that as well, and then we just enter it into the survey. Whoops. Let me cut that off. So these are the people on the steering committee. Pamela, Jim, Frank, Denise, Don, Chip, William, Lynn, John, Mike, JD, and Catherine. So they need more people. Their meetings are fun. There's always food. And I want to thank everybody for coming out tonight. We're ahead of the game here. Are there any final comments, questions, concerns, worries, anything someone wants to add? Yes, ma'am.
I'm just so afraid that we are gonna copy so many other people and so many other places and get so much commercial stuff that we're gonna lose our identity. We are not the town that we were 50 years ago. We've already lost so much.
That's a very good point. So the goal is how you've changed already from what you were 50 years ago, and things will change 50 years from
We
now.
have 4 year-round grocery stores.
Yeah, things
We
change.
ship them
So
to
how do
town
you
for
preserve
spring
the
here.
things that you love and keep Boothbay Region Peninsula, Boothbay Region Peninsula? How do you do that? Maintain the things you love, but still allow growth and change to happen to make this even a better place. And you can do that. I know the community says do that. It's all about taking charge of your own future.
We have year-round work.
Just I wanted to mention this because I wanted it to be in our thoughts and on that board is that this is also a very eco-friendly peninsula and it's becoming much more that every day. And I think that's something that we can also keep working towards because working towards that means preserving what we have been.
Yep, good point. Anything else? Yes, sir.
As far as the logo goes, everybody wants to get a sense of what the community is actually like, and then work out a logo like I Love New York.
Yeah.
This is an artist community. There's a lot of talented people.
Yeah.
I mean, I took commercial out of RISD for a while.
Yeah.
Why not lay it out to the people in the community to submit?
Yeah.
Once the wording comes out,
Yeah.
what they would like, their thoughts on the logo and pay the winner.
Yeah, well, that's an idea for the steering committee. I don't know if you all heard that idea, but he said this is an artist community, and why not come out with a tagline first, and then ask some of the artists to illustrate that, and offer a prize to the winning. As an idea for the steering committee to decide from. It's up to the steering committee. Yes, ma'am.
Years ago, they called Boothbay House the voting capital.
The voting capital of New England, and when was that? 50s, okay. Yeah, good to know. Anybody else, something else? Yes, sir.
A request, is it possible that all of these notes could get
Oh, yeah.
circulated to everybody?
Oh, of
Because
course.
I think there's a lot more than a logo that.
Oh, yeah. So what, exactly. So what also happens, I mean, this is the way we also run visioning sessions when you come up with a community vision. It often becomes part of community's comprehensive plans. It's what you care most about. And it often is integrated into that. I'll be doing a report from this, and you can use it any way you want. There was a specific goal to this project, but yes, you can take all of that. And I summarize everything. So everything that's written on those sticky notes, every single one will be written down. They'll be lumped together, but I don't lose any word. So, somebody else, yes, ma'am.
If there's anybody here that hasn't read Charles Corral, his book, The Places to Visit, the Best Place for Every Month, the month of August is Boothbay Harbor. And if you haven't read it, you really should.
Yeah, Charles Correll's book on
He
traveling
gave it.
and Boothbay Harbor, yes, ma'am.
I just have a suggestion. As you compile all this information, my suggestion for the steering committee, which I'd love to be on, but I'm not going to be here, if all of that information could be sent out to realtors, to the chamber, so when people are thinking of coming to the area, moving to the area, starting new businesses, they have a really good sense of what this community is really all about.
Good idea.
So that they can take a look and say, well, will my plan fit with?
Right, okay, good point. Okay, any last burning issues that someone has to say. Okay, yes, ma'am.
How does this all tie into the walkability?
So the question is, how does this tie into the walkability study? That if you were part of that, it was last October, a year ago. We brought in Dan Burden, who was considered the walkability guru, actually written up in Time Magazine as one of the most influential people in the coming century, or in this century. And one of the recommendations out of that was to do better wayfinding. And folks in town felt that wayfinding is how do you get from one place to another, and how do you know where you are and where you want to go. And one of the ideas was having a consistent logo or theme so you could see it visually. So as I mentioned, maybe a sign at the head of the peninsula, and as you go, I don't know what form it will take, but perhaps as you're going down the peninsula, you would see where you are and getting to that destination. So this could be turned into that piece of the walkability audit. And it also could be part of wayfinding in the downtown, in the villages. So you could be used for that. Yes.
The other points that the walkability study did, what's moving forward with that? Is that a separate committee?
I can't answer that. The question is, what's moving forward with the other recommendations that were in the walkability audit?
Jane, if I could.
Go ahead.
Out of the walkability study, there were roughly 32 action items that came out, and they branched a variety of areas: wayfinding, waterfront, vision development, mini circles, gateways, lighting, places, aesthetics, parking, and others. And it's some of them are high impact, low cost, and others involve a greater deal of thought. It was a matter of timing that we were fortunate to submit an application for the grant, and were awarded the grant, and that was used to work on this vision. There are other things that will come out of that, and I think the steering committee will take that with the vision and possibly run with that and do next steps. But this is where we need more of a critical mass. We need individuals to join in, to get involved, to share their ideas and their enthusiasm, and to branch forward with that. But for right now, it was chosen with the steering committee that let's first start with this vision, and then how can we use that. Jane was talking about wayfinding and signage. The walkability study came out with that people like to do loops. When you think about the downtown area, there are different commercial loops. You can take a loop that takes you across the footbridge and over to the east side of the harbor. You could take a loop that takes you all the way around the north side and loop around the footbridge. The simple one, which is Townsend to Union to Oak and back, is a terrific loop. Do we just put up a sign that says this is the eastern loop, this is the western loop, this is the north loop? What about if we had a logo, a color, a construct, something? So rather than reinventing and doing that a couple of times, we thought we'd start with using the vision, which could come up with a brand, a logo, a construct, a color, and then possibly use that to identify. So the steering committee basically viewed this as being foundational, and working on next steps from there. I hope that helps some.
The steering committee is also the walkability, what came out of that, they're also doing that.
Yeah. So the steering committee went through all of the recommendations and evaluated which had the highest impact, high, medium, or low impact, and high, medium, and low feasibility. And this was high impact, high feasibility. So it was given the top priority, but there are many other things, and many hands make light work. They need many people working on all of these items to move any of them forward. So if you have a copy of the walkability audit, look at those recommendations, and Mike has the priorities that were set after that. So it can definitely help anywhere.
It's available on your website.
It's on, yep, and I think Mike has copies too. Yep. You can get it on the Friends of Midcoast Maine website as well. Yes, ma'am.
Well, discussing walkability, at one time, we have a spinning class at the Y. And I hear so many of the people who are really experts at spinning who in the summertime like to go out and ride.
Right.
There's no safe place to ride bikes in this area. And as part of this building of vision, I don't think we talked about, and maybe we weren't supposed to, talk about things that we think we need here.
Yeah, so, yeah, we can put that into the survey and get some of that feedback as well, but that's a good point.
Because I know there was somebody working on bicycle paths a few years ago.
Yes, that is being
There's
worked
in
on.
the Department of Transportation, we actually got Booth Bay Peninsula. We have, I think there's 3 routes in the guidebook that comes out to the whole state. 'Cause each region has its own safe bike paths essentially. And we did that 2 years ago, the Y did.
But we don't have one here in Booth Bay. We have a bike path?
Well, it's not a bike path, they're routes that are, they're routes, safe routes. They're not, it's not a bike path.
So it sounds like better PR is needed and maybe maps available and signage to make
It's pretty
those
dangerous some places to ride a bike.
So,
Well, people go too fast. They run.
anything else? I have a couple more questions, if any, unless somebody has something else. Okay, so there's a way that we vote. It's either thumbs up, thumbs down, or thumbs sideways, meaning you don't care or you can't make up your mind. How do you think tonight's workshop went? Was it thumbs up? Was it worth your time? Thumbs up, thumbs down, thumbs sideways? Will you be involved in the future? Thumbs up, thumbs down, a few sideways, okay. Honesty, good. Anything else? Okay, thank you very much, appreciate it.